Good day to you all. Such a pleasure to be with you once again, sharing on God's Word. Remember, the whole purpose behind these tapings is to help prepare you to have a richer experience over the weekend when you go to church. So often we do not prepare ourselves for that part of the Mass that deals specifically with God's Word, with the readings, and I hope I can sort of put you in the correct frame of mind as you head out to worship this weekend. I was listening to one of these food purists argue that certain recipes should not be tampered with, and he was referring specifically to lasagna. He was arguing that proper lasagna is made with either pork or beef or a combination, or possibly veal. Anything else is not really lasagna. There's no such thing as chicken lasagna, or even worse, vegetarian lasagna. Lasagna made with chicken or vegetables is really another dish, and altogether, and should be given another name. And his argument reminds us that we often use words very loosely today, and how careful you have to be with definitions. Today, for instance, you can love someone, but you can also love your dog, you can love your car, you can love your house. People use the word love for practically anything. Last year at one of the churches where I was filling in, a woman wanted her dog, I think the dog's name was Fifi or something like that, to walk up the aisles with her on her wedding day. Apparently Fifi was there for her when she was sick and bedridden. Now, I thought that marriage was between a man and a woman. What does a dog have to do with it? That was my thinking. One of the vogue words today that we often use is the word awesome, which is used to refer to anything or any experience that is extraordinary. I can kind of wrap my head around a sunset, or for instance Niagara Falls, or some beautiful scenery being awesome. But I am not sure that ice cream, lemon meringue pie made from scratch, or the new Ford Mustang convertible should be described as awesome. I don't know. And this brings me to the use of religious terminology. When we describe God in human language, we have to always remember that it is just an approximation. In the final analysis, God is really beyond us, and we are completely dependent on Him for our well-being and happiness. This is why the gospel reading today, over the weekend, asked the question. We find Jesus asking this question to His disciples: who do people say that I am? Jesus is trying to get the inner core conviction of who God is from His own disciples. And what He's basically telling them is, okay, you have heard what other people have said. Some people say that I am John the Baptist, others say that I am Elijah, others Jeremiah, one of the prophets. All of those things are approximations. They are saying that God is like someone that they know, or someone they have read about, or someone they have heard about. But who do you say that I am? And I will tell you this: there comes a time in our own lives where we have to ask ourselves the same question, where you have to speak for yourself, and you have to clarify yourself, for yourself, who God is in your own words. And this is where language becomes so vitally important. And you know, It's not what your grandmother told you about God. It's not even what your parents told you about God. It is not what your first communion or your confirmation teacher told you. It is what you have to say for yourself. No more approximations. No more chicken or vegetarian lasagna. We want the real deal, the original recipe. And it might not be 11 herbs and spices either. And this is where language often fails us. We discover God in His own awesomeness that our finite, limited human selves cannot really comprehend. We cannot really grasp the nature of God. And you know, this is the failing of atheism today, that something finite, our human minds, is trying to grapple with and trying to grasp something that is infinite. It's the sin of our first parents, Adam and Eve, presuming and being presumptuous enough to think that they know God or that they were God. And we all know how that story ended. In the second reading this weekend, taken from Romans, Paul writes this. He says, "How inscrutable are His judgments, and how unsearchable His ways. For who has known the mind of the Lord, or who has been His counselor, or who has given the Lord anything that He may be repaid? For from Him and through Him and for Him are all things. To Him be glory forever." Paul is expressing this very same sentiment, that we think we have all the answers, and that we think we have God nicely packaged, but we are completely dependent on God for our well-being and happiness. We are nothing without Him. This is the realization that Peter comes to when he answers Jesus' question, when he says, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." And you know, sometimes it takes a lifetime of searching and reaching several dead ends before we reach that point, to humbly admit that all things of this world have not really brought us true happiness and fulfillment. We remain empty inside until we try the real thing, until we try the real lasagna, until we put aside approximations and encounter the living God and answer like Peter, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." I want to pray today that all of us who are searching for peace and happiness will put aside the false gods and encounter Jesus, and have an encounter with Jesus as Peter did, so that we can all say like him, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." My dear friends, let us open our hearts to God's power and God's presence. Let us put aside the false gods and know that only through Him we can find true happiness and peace. God bless you this weekend. Have a wonderful day.